He never took accountability.
What y'all giving grace for deadbeat dads for?
I don't know why my son doesn't talk to me. Well, maybe it's because you were a wannabe dictator, a raging alcoholic, and you can't keep your hands to yourself.
Recently, I made a video about mothers, but this video we're focusing specifically on fathers. And this one will be really interesting because for me, I have a deadbeat dad, which to some people comes to no surprise, but that's just the reality of the situation. And rest assured, at the end of this video, I'll be diving deep into my own childhood trauma with my father, the things he's gone through, and you know how he's cheated on my mom, had double lives, went missing, all the lies. Like there's so much, but I'll talk more about my experience with him and how I've personally grown to accept how he is and how I was able to process everything and move on from the situation. Regardless, there are a lot of people who have started to go no contact with their fathers. Most, if not all, stem from childhood trauma because to know, I am not talking about the people who are like, oh, my dad voted for Trump, I'm not talking to him. No, we're not talking about those people. We're talking about multiple years of various forms of abuse. And I have to say, if you're someone who has a very strong relationship with your father and things are going well, great. That's awesome for you and I'm very happy for you, but that's not the case for a lot of people out there. You know, going no contact is the last resort for a lot of people, and I have to leave that disclaimer when I talk about these things because it's not easy. You know, of course I would love to have had a father, and there are a lot of people who grew up, we're gonna dive right into that, but there are a lot of people who grew up with a father in the home but not a dad, and that's a thing that people are dealing with all the time. If you like this kind of content, be sure to subscribe, but without further ado, let's dive right into this.
I'm gonna be real, bro. As a man, bro, I advise you, bro, go hear your dad's side of the story. I'm not saying he couldn't be fucked up. I'm not saying he couldn't have left you for no reason. I'm not saying that he couldn't have been a bad person. He couldn't have made a mistake, none of that. But I advise you just go hear his side of the story.
No. First of all, I was raised in a two-parent household, but let's go ahead and just speak on this for a second, all right? No. What y'all giving grace for deadbeat dads for? There is nothing on this earth that can keep a man from his child. Nothing. If a man wants to be there for his child, he will be there for his child.
Yes and no. It does vary. Are there cases where the dad wants to be in the child's life, but the mother's preventing that from happening? Yes. And I will have a separate video on that talking about parental rights and father's rights and child support and all that. There's so much to get into regarding parents and regarding this whole topic. So be sure to subscribe for that. But on this topic specifically, yeah, there are definitely cases where the mother is the one preventing the father from being around. That wasn't the situation for me. I mean, it was a little bit because he was so toxic, but like for a lot of people out there, there are dads who want to be active, but they can't. And it's so hard for them to go through the courts, and that's a whole nother topic, but this is a thing that happened. Even for me, I have taken the time to learn more about my father's story and his background, how he was raised, what he's gone through in his life, the things he's done, and it's helped me get a better understanding of why he, you know, did the things that he did and still does to this day. Understanding this and understanding, you know, the man that he is today and why he is that way helps me learn to forgive. It helps me learn to accept the reality of the situation, but to be clear, forgiving and acceptance doesn't mean I have to keep you around either. I forgive my father for all the horrible things he did to my mother, all the horrible things he did to our family and just abandoning me, and I accept the situation at hand, but I'm also not going to willingly keep this man in my life knowing he is still the same man who he was back then. There are some people who just will not change, and I don't have time for somebody like that in my life. I have a lot of sympathy for the man he has become and why and the actions he's done because of this childhood event or this and that. I can have sympathy for that, but I also understand that personal responsibility is a thing, and as grown adults, we control the controllable. As adults, everybody right now has the access, has the knowledge, has the power to process, analyze, and move forward. This idea of accepting your parents and understanding them extends past the toxic parents, but parents just in general, it is good to understand why they are the way they are and learning more about their backstory and their history and how they were raised. It's always good to hear from them about their lives, and thanks to today's sponsor, My Stories, you can do that with ease. My Stories inspires people to share their personal family stories and turn it into a keepsake book that lasts forever. I personally went through this process for myself to make sure it's up to my standards, and honestly, it's blown me. Wow. Personally, it's blown me away, and I'm not even kidding. This is all wow. That's random. The first page I accidentally flipped to is the one that features a picture of me and my father. Random spooky timing, but yeah. The process to do this is very easy and friendly for both parents and grandparents. My stories will send you or whoever the book is about one email a week with a question, and all you have to do is write back answering the question, telling a story, sending in a few pictures, and that's it. And after a few weeks, all these stories and pictures pile up, and then My Stories is able to create a book that they will send out to you in a physical copy. This book is filled with so many of my own memories and thoughts and inspirations, and it's really cool that I have this keepsake that I can pass down. The experience is meaningful. It can uplift, inspire, and reveal stories and family history that you just never thought to ask or that no one really even knew about. Especially with both Mother's Day is coming up and Father's Day right around the corner. This is a perfect gift to give to your parents or grandparents to quite literally have their stories be passed down for generations to come. To get started, you can tap the link below or scan the QR code here on the screen and use promo code AMIR25 for 25% off your order. This is the easiest and most sentimental way to build bridges across family members and different generations, and to learn way more about your loved ones than you ever thought could happen. So again, to save 25% off your order, you can use promo code AMIR25 by tapping the link below or scanning the QR code here on the screen today.
I don't know why my son doesn't talk to me. Well, maybe it's because you were a wannabe dictator or a raging alcoholic and you can't keep your hands to yourself. We spend a lot of time talking about toxic mothers. Let's talk about our toxic fathers. Because quite frankly, the older I get, the more I hope I find out one day that that's not my dad. And this is probably the trauma talking, but it would make me feel so much better knowing that I'm not related to that man. Because I was one of those kids, real talk. I said that's not my father. I started writing my mother's last name in all my classes, confusing my teachers, raising red flags for concerned. All of y'all was right. I was in an unsafe environment. Thank you for caring.
Low key, I did this growing up too, because Father's Day would come around and I saw what a father was. I saw what a dad was. I really did see that growing up. And when my father left my life, his friends stepped up and they would take me to ball games. They would take me hiking. I had a lot of male figures in my life. They stepped up and really helped me out. But when it came to like my actual dad, no, I never claimed him. To this day, I call him my sperm donor. That's all he is to me. He's literally just a sperm donor. I am so grateful that he did not pull out, and I'm so grateful that he named me. He did name me Amir from overseas while he was almost said traveling abroad. He was in the Navy, and that's where I got my name from. So I'm grateful for that. And there are some things that my family members have told me that I'm similar to him in some ways, but I'll get to that at the end of the video. But yeah, I used to do the same thing. I would not claim that man and still don't to this day.
Anyway, so I thought I knew everything because when I was younger, my first memory is my father being a terrible person, and I immediately detached from him. So I'm like, ugh, none of my issues have anything to do with this man. Boy, was I wrong. And that's because my mother constantly shoved him down my throat because she wanted him. Despite me calling her and leaving copious amounts of voicemails on her work phone when I was a child saying, hey, he's drunk, he's playing loud music, I don't feel safe, she wouldn't leave. And would chastise me whenever I said that she deserved better. Which created this dynamic in me where I consistently tried to save men. Because she stood by that trifling man that offered her absolutely nothing and would literally punish me and threaten me if I said anything to anybody else.
That is interesting. The different dating patterns that people get from their own parents and from their toxic fathers or toxic mothers. This man witnessed his mom always trying to protect and transform and change his dad to where now, subconsciously he does the same thing. He dates to try to fix. And I'm glad he's recognizing that, but it is interesting how someone can pick up on that. That's something maybe even you are doing right now.
5 signs someone could have daddy issues from a licensed therapist. Number 1, fear of abandonment. When a father figure is absent, whether physically or emotionally, it can leave you fearing that others will leave too. You might constantly worry about upsetting or disappointing people because their negative emotions feel like a warning sign of abandonment. Number 2, a lack of personal boundaries. You might let others walk all over you, or you people please because you crave love and connection. But when you don't set boundaries, you often end up feeling used, which reinforces feelings of rejection. Number 3, feeling unworthy. If you grew up feeling like you weren't enough for your father, it can leave long-term scars. This often results in low self-esteem, making you feel unworthy of love, care, or attention, even as an adult.
Okay, the first two, definitely me. I have dealt with this like abandonment issue because for so long, he literally abandoned me. And he would always say he's gonna come up and see me, he's gonna come visit me, and he never would. And I just felt like so unwanted. And but this is interesting. I'm sure there's people who deal with this. Mine was flipped. Mine, I don't know. I just felt like it, you know what it is? This is what it is. It's because he was a lowlife too. Like I think I would have really, really crappy low self-esteem triggered from my father being gone if he was gone living his best life. But the man has been homeless since he left the family. My father has done nothing but lived off, props to him. Taking myself out of the equation, that's impressive. To live since 2000, like 25 years now, just off of sugar mamas and drug dealing. Like, that's impressive. Sugar mamas, drug dealing, and your parents' money. Impressive, needless to say. But growing up and seeing him in this state of just nothing's there, there's nothing valuable. He's just like a pit of just, ugh. I've been fine. Because there were times where I'm like, okay, I'm 16, I have a job, I have my own car. My own father doesn't even have a job or his own car. There was like that boosted my self-esteem because he was nothing. But had he left, had a whole separate life and was rich and doing this and that while leaving me and my mama to struggle, I would feel some type of way. But I always knew he was worth nothing. So whatever I was worth more than that, it just boosted my self-esteem even more because it was like, damn, like that's my own dad, but like I'm dadding, like that's my son now. I'm sonning him. I'm doing more things. I'm more successful, more honorable of a man of integrity than he ever will be. So that is interesting how it's flipped.
Number 4, a pattern of toxic partners. If you keep ending up in toxic relationships, you might be subconsciously recreating or trying to heal your relationship with your father. You could be chasing approval or gravitating toward partners with similar traits. This cycle is often subconscious and keeps you stuck in hurtful patterns.
And that, let me know in the comments below how you guys have processed this, what signs that you see. I'd love to know, because for that, I want to say up until up until late high school. So from, he left around second grade, let's just say first grade to 11th grade, my mom was single. It was rare that a man was around. If he was, it was a quick like half a year stunt. I remember one man like that, but other than that, I never saw my mom date. She never brought men around me. And then on the flip side, obviously my dad was just gone out of my life. So I didn't even have relationships to mimic. What I did know is what I didn't want to mimic. So I was kind of flipped where I just didn't date. Like and if I did, I took it very seriously because I didn't want to waste my time.
He never took accountability. Even when he hurt you, somehow you would end up apologizing to him, or he acted like nothing ever happened. And you still feel the pressure to prove yourself to him because deep down, a part of you still hopes that he'll finally say, "I'm proud of you." But he never will, not in the way that you need. You didn't imagine this, you didn't overreact, and your worth was never tied to how lovable he made you feel. You deserved better then, and you deserve healing now.
Crazy. And I genuinely hope the person out there watching this right now that relates so hard with what these people are saying and, even some of the input and opinions that I'm giving, that you are seeking the help that you need to get, that you are taking care of your mental health, that you are striving to repair the damage that was done in your childhood so you can let go and grow. There comes a point where enough is enough, and I'm not someone that's trying to advocate, hey, don't talk to your parents at all, ooh, up to bang, yada yada. No, but what I am advocating for is you to control the controllable, and there's no point as grown adults to keep somebody around that is clearly not going to change and not benefiting your life whatsoever. If all you're doing, every interaction you have with this man is negative, why are they around? If you're gonna cut off a friend for that, then why aren't... Hello? You get what I'm saying? Like, it's sad, it's unfortunate, but again, if we're adults and I'm your own flesh and blood and you're gonna treat me like this, you're not gonna talk to me because of this, and that, because you are too stubborn and you are too immature to do the self-work to understand why you are the way you are, come on now. Enough is enough. And people are saying that. And that is why more and more people are cutting off their toxic father, and or putting in strict boundaries or going to little to no contact, honestly. Maybe keeping a little contact there, because there is, for a lot of people, whether you depend on them financially or you don't want to ruffle, change the whole family dynamic, you know, completely, because they may be good with some other siblings or this and that, whatever, little siblings in the house, whatever the situation may be. It is unfortunate how many grown adults out there don't take the personal responsibility it is to understand maybe why their kids don't talk to them in the first place, why they got divorced. They don't do the self-work because they're so damn stubborn. Blows my mind.
Isn't it so funny how fathers get so shocked when you won't tolerate the same disrespect they put their wives through? Like, I'm not your wife, sir, and I'm definitely not one of your little friends, and you made that clear. Like, that was the woman you chose. I was the woman that was given to you. Do you see how karma works? No, but actually, like, these men, they'll be the first men that let you down. They'll be your first ever fucking bullies, and then they get so shocked when you don't tolerate their disrespect. Bro, who do you think I learned this behavior from? Or I always say this, but it's like the silver lining to my childhood was that I'm not afraid to fight a man.
Listen, there's a lot of people out there like that, where it kind of goes back to that mother video I just did, where if you can't stop me, you can't knock me. I don't talk to my own mother like that. You're not gonna bother me. I promise you, you're not. As a grown adult, like, you're not gonna talk to me this type of way. It's like the time that I have talked to my father, I'm like, okay, and like, sir, you're in my vehicle. That was a wild time. I'll talk about that in the video, but like, no, it must be shocking to see how some fathers react when their kids actually talk back. And like, no, I'm not one of your little friends, and I'm not your wife. I'm your child. Not even that. I'm your offspring, and you're not gonna treat me with any type of disrespect as much as you want. You're just not gonna get away with it. And there's more people like this sticking up for themselves, and the fathers are shook. Let me know in the comments below if this is you too, and if you've done this and it's been like, who do you think you're talking to? And it's like, you. These dads, I can't.
A man with an absent father wound will grow up to be a chronic people pleaser, put other people's needs before his own, and also develop an avoidant attachment. Because as a child, this man lacked the physical and emotional presence from his father. And as a result of this, the son can only assume that it's because he is not good enough, and will carry this low self-worth into adulthood because the son lacked guidance from the father.
It's weird. I had that for a little bit, but like I said before, it switched because I realized, oh, he ain't nothing, and I'm already more than him. But for some reason, I did hold on to that people-pleasing attitude, because for me, it was just like I didn't want to be a disappointment to anybody else. I didn't want to be unwanted by anybody else. So I always just gave everything I had to everybody around me to make sure that I was always good. And maybe that's why I never had a clique. Maybe, because like in high school, I was one of the most unique, and I think a lot of that is due to me talking to a lot of different people, and I was always good with everybody. Like, no one ever had a problem with Amir. Yeah, no one really had a problem with me. It was rare that you did. Even to this day, I rarely have beef with anybody. I just don't have the energy for it. But I did learn the hard way to stop being the people pleaser, because I was getting taken advantage of by a lot of different people all the time. And at some point, you got to put your foot down and know your worth and where it stands.
And developing an internal sense of self-worth, you will instead cope with this pain by avoiding conflict and be completely dependent on external validation by trying to be the perfect friend, the perfect husband and worker. He will also have difficulty understanding and expressing his own needs and emotions. He will be extremely sensitive to criticism and have difficulty making healthy male friends because he subconsciously feels unworthy of his father's love. He will have a very difficult time saying no and setting boundaries. His father never taught him how. And as an adult, he will attract a partner that has her own mother wound. Two wounded people raised by immature parents perfectly complementing each other's wounds. They will continue to recreate childhood trauma they both experienced, only to pass it on to their own children.
Ugh, that's mind-blowing. I'm just... That is mind-blowing. I don't know what to say other than it's not funny. I'm just shook because I know who's going to see this video. I know you're watching this video right now. You know who I'm thinking about. You know who I'm talking to. And it's the situation that we've definitely talked about. So I do love you. But it is interesting how, you know, this goes back to whether the person I know is watching this, and even the person I don't know that's watching this but is connecting to this, you're not alone. You're genuinely not alone. There are so many people like this where They don't deal with what's going on in their childhood trauma and how it affects them as an adult, and the decisions that they're making and their partner and the things that they're going through, and then together it just creates more toxicity. And you're not alone. You're genuinely not. And at some point you have to put your foot down and recognize something's got to give on both ends, from within yourself, from your partner, and for both, because what you don't want to do is this continuing the cycle down. Again, we can control the controllable. We can analyze and understand our childhood, what's going on, why I am the way I am, and work past these things. But the first step is to acknowledge that something is wrong and to start there and work your way back. That's the only thing you can do. But it's crazy how you can have random strangers on the internet tell their story, tell their perspective, and analyze different situations, and it is mirroring exactly what may or may not be going on in your own life.
Continuing the cycle in the same way that has happened for generations before, until they begin doing the deep healing work, connecting to their core wounds and reparenting the hurt little boy or little girl still inside them.
That's all you can do. And I'm gonna have all these all the videos that we're reacting to and we're dissecting and analyzing and giving our opinions on, they're gonna be in the description below, so you can click on them and watch more of their videos or reach out if you want, whatever it may be, because I do feel like these content creators are very helpful.
My dad was hypercritical of me growing up. He would tell me to do things, and every time I would make even the most smallest, insignificant mistakes, he wouldn't just tell me that I was doing it wrong. He would get in my face and scream at me. He would always make it this whole thing all about him. He'd ask me questions like, why don't you pay attention? Why don't you care about anything? Why don't you appreciate all that I've done for you? Why can't you just pay attention more?
I just can't imagine having a child and acting this way. Like, that's crazy to me. I cannot imagine having my offspring sitting in front of me and belittling them and traumatizing them and just being mean to them.
And then he'd either yank it out of my hands and do it himself, which was honestly the preferred option, or he'd continue to scream and push me around until I finally did the thing he wanted me to do in the way he wanted me to do it. And as a 6-year-old, I didn't realize that my dad was the messed up one. I thought it was me. I thought I was the problem. And as I got older, I was deathly afraid of making mistakes. Mistakes were just something that would only threaten my safety. I needed to be perfect, and my life depended on it. And this perfectionism allowed me to achieve a lot of success in the short term. But eventually it was like a cage, because in order to be successful, you have to have the room and the opportunity to experiment and fail a lot. And honestly, it was some of the hardest and most painful work I'd ever done in my life. A lot of hard conversations with myself to identify the behaviors that weren't serving me, try to get rid of them, think of new ones to try out and replace, despite all the fear, despite all the anxiety of doing something wrong. But I knew that if I didn't do the work, I wasn't going to get better, and I wasn't going to get the life I wanted.
Spot on. What is so good. What you need to do is the deep work, and it's hard. Change is uncomfortable. It is hard, but to do the deep work to understand different pathways you can take mentally to analyze the different situations going on in your life. So if you're going through a problem, what are 3 ways you can solve it? What are 3 routes that you're comfortable doing to approach this scenario? You really have to restructure your entire life and worldview, but because if you don't, you're just going to end up like them, or you're just not going to reach your full potential. And it's so irritating, and probably the hardest thing about being a parent is instilling the good values that you want in your children, because far too often are some of the most successful people also some of the people with the most childhood trauma. A lot of people I know in my life that are successful, that have done something for themselves, have an extremely traumatic childhood. And it's because of the traumatic childhood that's pushed you to become the person you are today. You know, I wouldn't change my past. I'm grateful for the past. I'm grateful for the present I am today. But it is unfortunate that that's the case. Like dude said, this idea of having to be perfect, having to never make mistakes, granted him a lot of success, but in the short term, because it was so damaging mentally. So life is like a teeter of trying to figure out, okay, damn, like I'm really trying to be perfect because I never wanted to make my dad upset. However, in life, it is good to just be good. You know, it is good to have a track record of making the right decisions, but also flipping the script and saying, okay, I also have to understand that in order to do this, it's going to come with a lot of failure so that I can't keep learning. Because in life, everything is a lesson. Just because you take one step back doesn't mean you can't take 2 steps forward again. So it's this reframing of the things in your life of going back to that example, which is a great example of I need to be perfect. Yeah, that mindset can be helpful, but don't make it toxic. Also acknowledge that a part of being, a perfect being to me is accepting and acknowledging failure because there's lessons in it so I can keep growing. That's just one part of somebody's life. There's so much work that needs to be done and can be done within yourself to transform your entire worldview and your mind to be the better person that you're aiming to be. Because if you're a viewer of this channel, what I'm not about to sit here and let you do is repeat the patterns of your past and never grow from them. You're way too good from that, especially if you're still watching this video. I don't know how long this video is so far, but if you're still here watching this video, I expect more from you, and I'm sure you expect more for yourself. So at what point are you going to get up and become the best version of yourself? At what point are you going to get up and not let the toxicity of your father or your mother, like we talked about in the last video, when are you going to stop letting what happened to you prevent you from being the best version of yourself that you can be? Because you can be better. It's just a matter of processing what's going on in your life and reframing the different scenarios that go on. And when you feel yourself getting angry, you feel yourself getting depressed, realizing, why am I this way? Where are my emotions at right now? It's a lot of work. It is a lot of work, but it is work that always pays off.
How do you heal the father wound?
Jeez, that's a deep wound to heal. It happens through forgiveness. It happens through forgiveness first within yourself. Forgiving the little boy or the little girl within yourself that expected your father to be a certain way with you, even when you didn't understand that he didn't know how to be that way with you. It next happens by understanding that your father was exactly with you the same way that his father or his mother was with him. The third thing that happens is it's accepting your father for who he is and not for who you wish he could be. And when you get all of those three in order, what starts to happen is your heart starts to open. You learn to forgive yourself, you learn to trust yourself, and you learn to love yourself. And when you're finally able to love yourself, regardless of what you've done and who you've been and the mistakes you've made, then you get to open your eyes and through compassion in your heart, see your father for the little boy that he was before somebody wounded him. And that's when you remember. You remember that your father is just like you. You remember that your father at one point in time in his life was born and he was innocent and he didn't know pain and he didn't know hatred and he didn't know how to mistreat anyone. And that's when you have compassion for him because you realize that the pain he caused you is very simply a reflection of the pain that was once caused to him.
That's true, but he didn't mention this, so I don't think he was trying to encourage that. All of what he said is valid and true, and all of what he said is things and processes that I've done to heal from my own father. But while I have compassion for the man that he is today, that's also not acceptance to keep him around. He's definitely cut off. I've seen him I've seen that man maybe like 4 or 5 times in the last decade. Maybe more than 10 years, honestly. And I'm fine. When I do see him, I'm fine. I just saw him in December at a friend's grandma's funeral. He came up behind me. He was like, Amir. And I was like, ugh, jump scare. I'm like, the hell? So it's fine seeing him. But I'm not the person to have compassion for him and keep him in my life just because I knew the things that he went through. Because again, we're all grown adults. If I can sit here and change my life, if I can sit here and be the change that I want to be, not be a statistic, be homeless, be sent to conversion therapy almost multiple times and become the person I am today, no, there's no excuse for you to be a grown man, nearly 60. How old is he? I don't even know how old he is. I think he's 60, maybe more than that. Whatever. And you're still nothing. That's a problem. When it comes to toxic fathers, it's such a unique situation. That is, obviously mothers and fathers are different, but when it comes to toxic fathers, they do have a unique effect on children and a lot of our lives. And I'd love to know in the comments below if you resonated with anything that we went through in this video today, anything connected with you. Was your mind opened? Are you going to start going to therapy now? Are you going to approach your siblings? Are you approaching your spouse? Like, let me know what learnings you've gotten from this video, because even for me, there are some reflections that I've made personally that's kind of made me rethink, how I process things growing up and my friendships and, you know, how I treat other people, how people treat me and what people get away with because of the toxic patterns that I inherently had just came through, not even realizing it from my father. And feeding off of that, I forgot I'd mentioned the story, but long story short, if I had to like just give a synopsis of my father and how that relationship has been, pretty much from 0 to 4, he was always in my life. And then 5 and 6, really 4, 5, and 6 is when it was like up and down, rocky, in and out, in and out, in and out. And he started to cheat on my mom, but like, I don't know, having affairs, I guess. Like when I say cheat, I don't mean like, oh, he had a fling and messed up. No, I'm talking like double life. I'm talking this man would take me on escapades with him. Like we'll be gone for a weekend. He would take me to these girls' places and they're my aunties and their kids are my cousins. So the whole time he out here, I remember like 3 to 4 different women vividly. Cause I remember I caught him. They weren't doing anything, but like he was just laid up in bed with this other woman. And I was like, that's weird. Like that's my auntie. Like that's not mom. Even then I thought it was weird, but he would take me to these girls' houses and they were my aunties and their kids are my cousins and we just play all weekend. And then I get home and my mom's like, oh, how's your auntie? How was playing with your cousins? And I'm like, oh, it's great. Crazy. So that would go down. And then one time my mom caught him and they got in a really bad like fight, like physical fight. And I'll never forget. That's why like looking back now, I don't like arguing. I don't like when someone's like screaming or yelling or anything like that because I just don't. Like that's very traumatic. That whole like a light bulb. I remember exactly. Remember hiding underneath my what was it? It was a green. It was a Little Tikes. Oh, I made a fort. It was a Little Tikes toy bin. It was white with a green lid with the red logo. I'm pretty sure. I wonder if I can find a picture. And I had my bed over it, like extended out so I can create an under cavity. I remember hiding underneath there because I was like so scared of what was happening. Crazy times. But then he stopped paying the mortgage, then we got evicted, and we had to move into an apartment, and then that started just my mom's single life journey. And then from then on, I would only see my dad the rare times he stuck on his word, like coming to see me, which was like, I don't know, like 3 times a year or something like that. I would see him Thanksgiving, of course, some Christmases, but it really started to dwindle down. I want to say like 5th grade, 4th, 5th grade was when it really started to diminish. I'm like, I never really saw him. And even now as an adult, like I don't see him at all because he's the same man as he always has been. And I accept him for that, but I'm also not going to allow that in my life. But I understand why he is the way he is, but I also am not gonna have that sympathy and then just give him a free pass to not change the man he is today. No, I'm not going to do that. But that's a quick little synopsis of my own father. Also, thanks for my stories for sponsoring this video and helping me create this book. If you want to do the same, be sure to tap the link below or scan the QR code here on the screen. Or remember, promo code Amir25 will get you 25% off your order, which will be great for Mother's Day coming up and even Father's Day, which is right around the corner. As we've gone through this video, it's clear that there are a lot of different types of toxic fathers out there, and I'm very grateful for you to spend this time watching this video. I hope you got some type of value out of it. If there's any other topics you want me to discuss or talk about, let me know in the comment section below. And again, if you think that there's somebody who can benefit from seeing this video, be sure to share it with them. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe. Helps me out a ton. Very thankful for you being here. We're almost at 600,000 subscribers, which blows my mind. I'm more than, again, just grateful of this life and what we're able to accomplish and do. It's so crazy. Very eager to meet a lot of you guys very soon. I cannot wait for this. There's more to come. Just make sure you're following my Instagram and keep your eyes on the community tab. There's lots to discuss going on there. But without further ado, as always, there's lots more videos coming. Be sure to keep your eye out for them. And as always, I'll see you in the next video. Love you guys a ton. Wait, pause. And off the bat, I have to mention, as always in every video, whatever you're going through, you're not stuck there. You're going to survive. It's called going through it for a reason. Put your blinders on, focus on you and only you, and you can and will change your life. You just have to have a North Star, have your goal, have your mind set on something and go after it, because there's nothing truly that can limit you but you. There are ways you can be manipulated, yes. There are situations you can be in that are unfortunate, yes. But it's about how you move forward. It really is, because 2 months before I started doing YouTube, what was I doing? I was doing DoorDash. Nothing wrong with it. But I'm just letting you know that, like, I literally was working in corporate America and I lost everything to the point where I'm literally like just DoorDash, and then started YouTube, and then here we are today. So like literally it's just about what happens to you. Don't sulk in it. Just always have a plan. Always be action oriented, always be driven, always try to figure out how to move and move with authenticity. Authenticity, integrity, and go after your goals and dreams, and you can and will be anything you put your mind to. So with that being said, love you guys a ton, and I will see you in the next video. Deuces.